Hi, I'm Mart, and you are watching Mart's Movies Review here on yourmedia.tv. Today I'm going to review the movies of Paul Verhoeven, who directed the films RoboCop, Total Recall, and Basic Instinct. So the first film I'm going to talk about is 1987's RoboCop, which is a science fiction action thriller. And it was brought to Verhoeven from the team who made Blade Runner in the early 1980s with Ridley Scott. And it's about what Verhoeven kind of saw it as is a story, a parable, allegory of an American Jesus, about a cop who gets killed, comes back to life, and is resurrected as a robotic cop who takes on the criminals in Detroit in the 1980s. And, it's a kind of story about, consumer capitalism in America, consumerism. And they show different types of models of robocops, mechanical cops who will probably outdo the work of the humans and to clean up the streets of Detroit, Michigan. And you have Peter Weller, who's Murphy in the film, but Nancy Allen is his sides with his partner. And they're just scouring the streets of Detroit. They're just kind of new partners in the fight against crime. And you got a great actor play the bad guy, the villain, Clarence Bodecker, who people know from this 70s show, Kurtwood Smith. And he's just really, he's a really bad kind of villain altogether. There's some characters as well, some of the crew he has, the criminal crew. There's one of the actors from Twin Peaks, there's another actor as well from ER, who would become well known a few years later. But this is the second movie from Paul Verhoeven in America. He made a movie called Flesh and Blood with Rutger Hauer, who had been working with him in the 1970s. And, he had his second outing as an American director. This first movie was okay, but the producers felt it could be more American and they needed to kind of tap into American culture more. So he was advised to kind of move over to America and to kind of just live in America to understand their culture. And he did that with his encouragement of his wife, and he went over and he made RoboCop. It was a massive success, and it kind of just got a cyber cop kind of movie showing technology, kind of science, what science fiction does in a way. It shows you the future. It shows you the dangers of what can happen in the future, with corporations creating, cyber cops, kind of seen as replacements for ordinary cops. And the story is very shocking. There's some very shocking scenes in the film, especially like the death of Murphy and his partner Nancy Allen when they're doing a raid on one of the warehouses. You had sequels to RoboCop as well, but like the French Connection with William Friedkin, Paul Verhoeven didn't direct any more of the RoboCops. He just did the first RoboCop, and then he went on to Total Recall, and then he went on to Basic Instinct, and he went to direct the Showgirls and Starship Troopers. He basically went back to Europe then. He spent like 16 years out of Hollywood, and he made Black Book then, which is a great film, Dutch film, and he made Elle as well, recent times. And he's a great raconteur, like Friedkin. He's very engaging, funny kind of guy to listen to or watch on videos. There's a lot of his videos that got up on YouTube from the New York Film Festival and a lot of the different kind of acting skills and just regular interviews with guys as well. But he was very famous in the 1970s for Verhoeven for his movies, Soldier of Orange, which is a big film for him as well, and just multiple films with Rutger Hauer. And Rutger Hauer, of course, then turned up in Blade Runner in the 1980s, 1982. So he turns up in Blade Runner. And, there was talk of bringing Spielberg as supposed to have seen Soldier of Orange and thought about bringing him over to America, Paul Verhoeven. I think they're saying that he wasn't really happy with these next films, Spetters or something. He wasn't happy with that movie, so it took a little while for him to come over. But he came over then, made Flesh and Blood, which was kind of a minor hit with Rutger Hauer in 1985, and then he just got the call then to make RoboCop, and then like he was basically a big mainstream filmmaker then. Like Ebert and Siskel gave him good reviews for his films, especially RoboCop and Total Recall. Ebert and Siskel they do a short piece on Arnold Schwarzenegger as well, and they in their reviews of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, that they say Total Recall is one of their best films. Now, I haven't seen the latest version. I know there's a new version with Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, the actor, but I'll have to watch that as well. But like a lot of these, it's very hard to top the original. Even like William Friedkin was a fan of John Frankenheimer's movies. He wasn't happy really. He said he hasn't seen the French Connection 2, which is directed by Frankenheimer. Paul Verhoeven then became very famous after that. He went on then to do another science fiction kind of movie made on Philip Dick's book. You can remember it for you wholesale, which was based kind of on memory and fake memories and real memories. It's about a construction worker called Quaid, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his wife Sharon Stone, and there's certain trips been taken to Mars, and he can't really afford it, so he kind of chooses to go to one of these corporations and get a kind of a fake kind of travel trip to Mars, and he wakes up and he's not sure whether he's asleep or awake or having real memories or fake memories, and not sure if his wife is real or not real, and is he really with Sharon Stone or is she just an implant? So the story goes along like that, and he's fighting then against the people who are inventing the corporates who are inventing all these memories for him, and it's a very good story as well. Like just like an ordinary guy, construction worker, and he's just trying to go on a travel trip, that he can't afford to Mars, and he's there with Sharon Stone in the film. She's very good as well. I mean, Sharon Stone, she'd been in a few films before that, King Solomon's Mines, and she was in a Woody Allen film before that in 1980, and she was a model before that. But she was in a few roles, like Kim Cattrall from as well, the actress who was in Police Academy, Sex and the City, and all that. Like she was just kind of skipping along, doing movies and certain kind of bit parts. There's some great stuff in Total Recall, some great lines in it, some great visual humor in the film. But a fellow says to disfigured face, he says to Arnold Schwarzenegger, "You got a nerve showing your face around here." And he says, "Oh, well, look who's talking. Welcome to the party, Richter." Arnold with his Austrian accent, "Welcome to the party, Richter." And you got a great actor as well, Rachel Ticotin, and she was with Arnold in the film, and she gets with him, and she's fighting with him against the bad guys in the film, and she's very good in the movie afterwards with Michael Douglas called Falling Down. She's the kind of detective working with Robert Duvall. But the next film after that then with Paul Verhoeven, Paul made a movie called Basic Instinct, which is basically a neo-noir erotic thriller, basically a detective investigating the case of a murder. And the prime suspect is a novelist called Catherine Trammell, who's played by Sharon Stone. And Sharon Stone is brilliant in the film, It really was the making of Sharon Stone. It's like there's some famous scenes in the film. It's the making of the film. I mean, Sharon Stone would go in, talk about investigating, doing research on characters of Catherine Trammell, and how they behave in real life and how they are, and how cool and confident she is, especially even in the back of the car on the way to the room where they're going to talk to her at the police station. And yeah, she's really charismatic in the film. I mean, afterwards, then I mean, she would go on to be in the movies, The Quick and the Dead, Slipper, Martin Scorsese's Casino, and but the kind of chemistry with Michael Douglas in with Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct is really good. I mean, you've got an actress called Jean Tripplethorne as well in the film, who's a psychologist and talking to Michael Douglas's character about Stone, and she was great as well. Jean Tripplethorne in the movie The Firm with Tom Cruise, and she should have been a bigger star. I think she was in a few films. I don't think she was in Waterworld with Kevin Costner, and but she could have been a bigger star as well as like Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts in the 1990s. But after that, Paul Verhoeven would go on to direct kind of what's seen now as a satire, Starship Troopers. And we go on to make what I think is one of Paul Verhoeven's best movies, called Black Book, which is a really excellent film about World War II. And you should definitely check that out. Of course, between all that, he got in trouble for making the film Showgirls, you know, which I haven't seen really. So, but he's gone back to making European films. In the film, Paul Verhoeven directed Elle. You had Isabelle Huber in the role as Elle as well. That's one of the latest films that Paul Verhoeven has made. That's the reviews for this week on Paul Verhoeven and his films RoboCop, Total Recall, and Basic Instinct. So I'll be back next week with another review of another famous film director.